Okay, just a quick one. Will everyone just put your phones in silent before we start? Yo, yo, what's going on,
Hello.
everybody? Welcome back to our next Phase Live stream. Going to be an absolute banger today. We've got Bill joining us from Unruggable. What's up, Bill? How you doing, man?
Guys, good. Just was down in London for Zebu Live. I was presenting Unruggable and some of our integrations. And back from that and now on here and happy to be just, how do I say it, spreading it and talking about our product and getting feedback from, actual people and users. So thank you for having me on and I look forward to it.
Absolute pleasure, man. Thanks so much for joining us. And of course, I've got my wonderful co-host, Gotto, who's joining me. I believe he's been up all night with the kids and he's still showing face. So thanks for joining us, Gotto. How you doing?
Yeah, no, appreciate it, bro. Yeah, it was a long night, but stoked to be here. Stoked to be here with Bill and dive into Unruggable a little bit here.
Nice, man. Have you guys also got your non-alcoholic beers?
I'm on the coffee. It's the crypto time zones, not more afternoon for me, but as a developer, I like a late start usually in the day. So yeah.
Fair enough. Sounds good. Gotto, I suppose it's a bit too early for non-alcoholic beers for you then.
Yeah, I still need the coffee, dude. I haven't even got the coffee yet.
All right. Well, anyway, let's dive straight into it then. Bill, thanks so much for joining us today. I think the best way to start off is tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about how you kind of got into the space. I think let's start there.
Cool. So my background was, I started off when I was 18 as a mechanical engineer, right? And I say 18, it feels, a couple of years ago. I'm nearly 30 now, which, yeah. So I did my engineering degree, mechanical engineering, cars, things like that. I did that for 3 years, and then I ended up getting a PhD for computational fluid dynamics. So if you've ever looked at the Formula One cars and the how they show the airflow going over them, that's kind of what I was doing for my PhD for 4 years. We were doing ignition and explosions. Yeah, I mean, it's taken us down the road, and that's where I really learned the coding stuff during that, because engineering, it's more hands-on and designing things. So that kind of set me up quite well. And the PhD was 4 to 5 years, and you know, when COVID hit and things like it felt like the apocalypse, everything was going to shut down. That's kind of when I found crypto, right? So I dabbled around and I'd had a look at Bitcoin before that, but I think I was still too young and dumb to fully understand it. As in, you know, when you're 18 to 21, you're still trying to figure out how the world works for you, not how it works in general. And I kind of missed that Bitcoin thing. Like, I could see it could be used, but I really only understood it when I was around 25. So I found the crypto white papers. I started reading through them. You know, you start with the Bitcoin one, then you had the Ethereum one. And this was probably around Solana, $3, you know, when FTX was first starting off. We still had Solana around, like back in the old days when Anchor didn't exist, it was all just raw Rust. So
that's wild.
Yeah, I found crypto then. I kind of read the white papers, and then compared to what I was doing for my PhD, I went, well, this makes, you know, I can understand these things compared to what I was doing before. And you know, at that point, I was doing sports betting for a living. So I was working for syndicates and I was doing numbers. So, you know, just like the PhD, we'd pull in the team stats and I'd run, like, you know, statistical and algorithmical models. And we'd end up doing our own odds, and I'd send those off to the guys who were paying me for it. They'd be betting on them, and I'd be getting back a little cut. And, you know, I did that for a couple of months, and it went pretty well. Like, I had a 1% edge, which for gambling was quite well. But I wasn't capitalized enough. Like, I was a student, I was just finishing the PhD, and then I found crypto, and I was like, oh, this might be it. So I got into crypto, you know, the classic trying to make money and the investment thing. I did that for a bit, and then as I started reading more into it, I found Solana, and Solana just worked, and that's what really sold me on it. Right, even back in the solid days, your UI UX was still bad, but it was better than anything we had on Ethereum and Bitcoin, just because it was quick and it felt modern. And that's what kind of Solana pilled me, right? So, you know, the price going up also didn't hurt. That always helps when you find these things, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So I did, you know, I bounced around for a year or two just doing dev work, you know, slowly picking up the Solana stuff as we had Anchor come out, and then Metaplex came in clutch with Sugar, if anyone remember. No, this was the old one. So this was Sam from Metaplex. They had the CLI for doing the NFT mints and stuff. And, you know, I did that. And then we had the Gen 8 mint, if anyone remembers that, when it got delayed and pushed back. And I was lucky enough, like I had a couple of laptops set up running like the bots on it. The delay worked out. I stayed up for it. I hit a couple of good mints. I got a rare one that I sold afterwards. And at that point, I was teaching engineering as well. So I quit my job, and that's when I went full-time crypto, just doing freelance dev work, more to upskill myself, because I found that you can only really learn quite well by doing things in practice. And it's very different doing DevNet things to doing a live mainnet launch, whether successful or not. So, you know, I did quite a lot of image generation as well. There was a really cool Magic Eden project with a photographer guy. I did the metadata for the NFTs. So it was quite nice doing that. And then, you know, did Breakpoint, active in the ecosystem, and then FTX came. And I think FTX was the second or third Breakpoint. It was in Lisbon again. So FTX kind of wiped me out, and it hurt quite a lot of my friends as well. And that was kind of the spark to make Unruggable, right? With FTX, I say it again, greed is a sin, right? I just got greedy. FTX was giving you 10% staking on your Sol. It was zero issues. This was, you know, with Solid and stuff, staking wasn't really, LSTs didn't exist. So you didn't have the instant liquidity. So you had to do native staking. But the native staking wasn't set up well, and you had, you know, predatory validators, not all of them, but it wasn't
100%.
It's not like staking now, where, you know, you open up any wallet you want, you open us up, you get your staking front and center, you pick between good validators, and you've got your mind at ease. You want instant liquidity, you go to the vault, they let you unstake your native Sol for 1 BPS, which is like an absolute bargain. You want LSTs, you've got Sanctum, you've got Sol Blaze. They all go through Infinity and Gito Sol, so the liquidity's there. Back then, that didn't exist, right? So you were just native staking, looking and hoping that your rewards would accrue. So I saw the FTX thing, 10%, zero issues, hoik it into FTX, done. And then FTX went bankrupt. The staking had, a 10% penalty if you unlocked early. Otherwise, you had to wait 7 days, when, you know, the Solana staking is 2 days. And in my infinite greed, right, you were like, oh, fuck, 10%. I'm not giving you 10%. You might go bankrupt, but I don't want to lose my 10%. So I left it in, and they did go bankrupt. And that was my learning lesson. That was what moved me towards self-custody. And then you look at self-custody on Solana at that point, and it was what we had Ledger that barely supported Solana, i.e. you could just put the Sol on and that was it. And all the other hardware wallets were really all around Ethereum and the EVMs and stuff. And if you were around at that point, you remember Solana was such an underdog. Like, we didn't have the price action. It was still going up. We had the NFTs. So that was basically the birth of Unruggable. And then we've just ended up doing Unruggable for the last... It really started, the first ever Colosseum, that year is when we really started Unruggable. Like, and it started from a flash drive and it's ended up to what it is now. But yeah, before I keep rambling, that's kind of how I ended up moving from academia, you could say, or like the PhD into towards crypto, and now having our own little startup trying to do something different and see how we go.
Amazing, man. That's a great backstory. And okay, so tell me, I guess the logical next thing to chat about would be to talk a little bit more about Unruggable itself. So forgive me for my lack of knowledge, but is Unruggable is it a hardware wallet? Is it a new software wallet? I remember hopping into the MetaMay Discord, like it must have been like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I think you could use it, but it was like very much like a code intensive version of it. Like you could kind of play around, but that was it. So what exactly is it, and what form is it currently in right now?
Cool. So I'll just fill in the backstory a little bit. So we did Matami. Matami was an anime-themed NFT project. The marketing keeps shouting at me to pronounce it correctly. You'd think after the years I'd know, but no, we
so
had
it's
really
Matami, not Metame.
Matami. That's what the artist and the marketing people say we should be calling it. Call it whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had really good artwork for that, and we wanted to try and do an NFT project that wasn't going to be super extractive. We saw Bitcoin ordinals, we saw the issues with the the metadata, so we ended up doing all the Matamis are stored fully on chain, so the full image and the metadata stored on the actual blockchain, and we paid probably quite a bit of money for that, to do the storage. We delivered that again. Timing, and I say this again, like in my 4 years of doing crypto, the one thing I've learned is that timing is the end all be all, right? We 100%. We were really well positioned timing wise to get that ordinals narrative, because we picked it up. I'd picked it up in it started in January and it ran until March, so we had the time to develop the smart contract and the software to get it ready. But we ended up getting front run by another protocol, Libraplex, if anyone was familiar. So Libraplex were just trying to do the ordinals approach on Solana in general. I tried on Bitcoin. I liked it. Made sense. We had the narrative. We just, didn't execute in time. That's one of the biggest lessons I took away from it. Timing is very, very important in crypto. Regardless, though, we still delivered exactly what we said we did. I think we turned it around in under a month after the mint date. Well, that's one of the things that or at least for me, I find really important. I don't want people to wait a year or 2 years for something to be delivered. It has to be, if not instant, within a very quick time frame. So
absolutely,
we did the ordinals thing. We put everything on chain. The market, if you look at the price charts, and it went up, down, and I think at one point we hit 20 sol with the ordinals narrative, which was, for an NFT project, I think was pretty good. And then you hit the hard point, right, which is where most NFTs struggle. What happens afterwards? And for me personally, we don't have royalties. I find them extractive. I didn't want to make holders jump through loopholes, because ultimately, they've bought an NFT, we've delivered on what we said, but there needs to be something to keep it going. So we did some merch, shipped that out for free just to, try it out.
Hold that thought.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You got the merch?
Yeah.
Let's go, dude.
That took some years of my lifespan, man, doing those, but I'm so happy we got them done, and we shipped them out.
I wear it all the time. It's such a fucking cool hoodie. Look, it's even got stuff on the arms. Like the quality is insane. Good job. Sorry,
we've got. I shouldn't say this, but we've got a biker jacket that we've got through the prototyping, and it's ready for production. And it's the one that the NFTs have on them if you go and have a look. and it looks so good. And we're just trying to figure out when we do it with the timing, and hopefully in 26 or before the end of 25, I've got a couple of things lined up for Matami that we haven't publicly said. Just with the Unruggable narrative, I don't want holders to feel like we've forgotten about them, and we haven't. But yeah, back to it. So we shipped out the hoodies, and we looked at it and went, right, we've got holders. We can't take royalties. We can't do some bullshit token because it's not regulatory fine. The only way this will work for the future is if we find a sustainable business with yield or revenue that we can then give benefits to the holders, i.e. a free device or whatever they do, but also give us runway to keep on doing the project and be able to do drops like the hoodies and other things to benefit holders. It keeps us regulatory fine. We're not being extractive towards holders, and it's a win-win because we need that community support. And this is why the holders and the NFT project were one of the critical things that helped us with Colosseum and hackathons, because you had that community already there.
Yes.
So yeah, so we did that, and then we kind of got into this point where we're like, right, what do we do? And the new year comes around, Colosseum launches, and in my head I'm like, right, custody is really hard. People were getting drained. You know, hot wallets are, if you're not experienced, I'm a developer for years, I still get scared that sometime I'm going to click the wrong thing and boom, the hot wallets will get wiped out. So we're like, right, cold storage, nice and simple. How do we do it? And our first MVP was what you said. It was a super developer focused thing on the terminal. And we basically followed a bank ATM. So you could use numbers to put in your actions, and it would run on a USB flash drive. So the setup was USB flash drive. It would run its own operating system. So you know how you have Windows, Mac. The USB had its own operating system. You'd plug it in. Laptop would boot up from that operating system and give you this developer terminal wallet, very like hackery, that you'd put the numbers in and use it. Which to my, at that point, naive developer view was like, oh, this is super straightforward. Everyone will get it and it'll work. No one got it. It didn't work because it's a terminal, and most normal people
I remember that.
Yeah. So like we pushed it out. Some people tried it. You know, it worked, but compared to Phantom, right, and the big three, so do I say, you're not competitive. So the only time we did get competitive was on one day, if you remember, when Solana went down last year and you couldn't get a transaction through the wallet. Our wallet had Jito in, right? I love Jito. Jito lets you do things just so much better. And we got 400 users in one day because we were the only wallet on Solana that would get a transaction to land because we had Jito baked in. So for your like retail or your average everyday consumer, they've never experienced Jito before. And this was the only thing they could do to get the TX through. And that's where I went, right, there's something here. Like, you don't see a spike of 400 people in one day without there being some genuine value add, right? And that's kind of what got us motivated. We also saw that people liked the idea of a hardware wallet for Solana. They just didn't like the initial execution, right? So submitted to Colosseum. You know, I finished that Colosseum thinking, I've got the best fucking product. We are going to win this. I've busted my ass developer-wise. No one else has got anything better. Results come out, we get an honorable mention. I'm fuming, and I'm sure everyone who's doing the first Colosseum has the same thing, right? You submit, you put your heart and soul into this thing for a month and a half with whatever you've sacrificed, and, you know, at least we got an honorable mention. Imagine if you didn't get anything. So
exactly.
I go to Singapore for Breakpoint last year. Really like Singapore, great location. So happy they picked it. Got me out of my like EU bubble. I wanted to see a bit of how it was there. Really enjoyed it, but I go there, I meet the judges for Colosseum because they've got, you know, the dev stuff. And I'm like, guys, like, you know, how? Like, I'm seeing projects that win that, you know, the demos are too long and they've not gone to mainnet or they've already shut down. Like, what went wrong with me? Like, I had the code base, we had a working product, we were open source. Like, I thought it was everything you guys wanted. And they go to me, yeah, Bill, but it's not a businessman. Like, how do you want to win a hackathon competition when you can't show us where your revenue is going to come from? You can't show us how you're going to make money, how it's going to be a viable business for us to invest in. And I was like, okay, right. It's not just about, because, you know, if you're doing a classic dev thing, the devs ship it and then you're done. And no one cares after that except developers. So I was like, right, this needs to be a different thing. At that point, I had my marketing and our artists, they were like, look, man, we can't use this wallet that you've made. It needs to be an app. We need a UI UX, right? Otherwise, what are we doing? So we get to the second Colosseum and we've got these learnings over the summer that, you know, I've done some trading bots that we've open sourced for the community if they find it interesting. We've done some little things like traits, but nothing meaty, right? And we go into that second Colosseum with the idea being, right, this time we're going to do a cryptography-based wallet, right? If you've seen, Backpack Exchange and Cube, they use multi-party compute, which is, instead of having one key, they've got a server, they keep one of the keys, and then you've got the keys distributed, and you just need one of them to connect. It's really safe, it's secure, it's like cutting edge for institutional security. So I was like, right, let's just do MPC for retail users, right? Super simple. We know it works. The documentation's there. Let's give it a go. So we ended up making, in that second Colosseum, a cross-platform app written in Go. We had MPC in, so, you'd connect your laptop with your mobile phone and your Seeker, and they'd all talk to each other, and you wouldn't have a private key or a seed phrase. It worked. It worked for developers again, right? The UI UX was atrocious, right? And I heard this from everyone. People would see and go, okay, I can see the vision, but it needs improvement. And the cryptography worked, but the setup was horrible. So when I say the setup, you had to plug things in and you had to connect a monitor to it because it was its own device. And I tried this.
Too many steps.
Yeah, man. And I tested this with people down in London at Super Team. I gave it to my dad. My dad went, Bill, I can't fucking use this. And my dad's been trading crypto for like a year now. He knows Phantom. He knows all the stuff like to Degen things.
Epic.
So I'm like, clearly this isn't going to work. Like, it's an increase and an improvement because now we have a UI, but no one's going to use us over Phantom and stuff, right? People care about security, but only when it's made easy for them. So
exactly.
We shipped that out for Colosseum, and in my head, I'm like, right, this isn't going to go well, and got an honorable mention. I mean, the cryptography was good. It was a finished product. It worked, but again, not a business. So I'd made my peace with that. And then we hit this kind of, not a rut, but when you're like, right, I've pivoted a couple of times. Is this really going to work? As in, we keep on hitting the MVP stage, but we're not getting to that finished product. And now after the experience, I think the amount of work it takes to go from 0 to an MVP is about half the work it takes to go from a MVP to a fully finished
final product.
Yeah.
For sure.
To something that you can like get up there with your chest out and go, I'm going to charge you money for you to buy this. Like, that is my threshold. I have to feel that it warrants you giving up your hard-earned money to buy this because it's to the quality it needs to be, right? And, with Matami, we had the artwork, and I did genuinely feel like, you look at that artwork, it stands a test of time. It's on Solana, I think it's up there with Azuki as being some of the best anime artwork we've ever seen. And that's all credit to Apes, but you need more than just artwork. And that's, like, you see that with Azuki, it's not just the artwork. And Azuki was a big inspiration. Like, we've got a little mini anime series, but, there's a difference between doing a little home-cooked anime series and doing a massive thing on Crunchyroll like Azuki's doing. If you don't have
the budget that you need for doing something at that scale is ridiculous. Like, you can't do that on a smaller. I mean, I guess it depends, but you probably need like a substantial amount of funding to do stuff like that.
It's not just the budget. You've also got to have the distribution channels, the right partners to help you with it. And Azuki had that. So, we got to this point, and then we got to the final pivot, right? So in January at the start of the year, we tried out, you remember the AI agent wave?
Yeah.
If you remember
course.
Eliza OS and AI 16Z and all of this fucking vaporware. Sorry, apologies for my language, but
no, how could you forget? They were all talking back to you on the timeline for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And it was wild.
We had this thing where crypto Twitter was saying AI agents, and we didn't even have the big like Anthropic and GPT. They didn't have agents. So I was like, what's going on? I started looking through the code base. I was like, oh wow, they're just pinging ChatGPT or Claude and getting the response back, and they've just set automations up. This is a complete bubble and a scam. And sometimes, like in my betting career, I learned sometimes, do you want to be right or do you want to make money? And in this case, I wanted to be right. I wanted to get this is a scamware, this isn't going to work, done. So I missed that whole AI thing. But, you can see where AI is going, and as a developer, you use it. So in January, I played around with some like an AI agent that dealt with the Jupiter DAO contracts, so if you were voting and doing the ASR stuff, You could delegate to the agent and it would do the voting for you. You know, pushed that out as an MVP, but it didn't really get any interest because we didn't have a token. You know, it's one of those things where you try and you learn and it didn't work. And then, funnily enough, we ran into Ore. If you remember, Ore made a massive comeback now. They've yeah. So Ore, I will say this, they have one of the best developer teams in the ecosystem. Like
100%.
the guys that do Ore with the Rust stuff they do, I take my hat off to them. Immaculate, right? Top stuff. So we go into this third Coliseum start of this year, and we're in a bit of a weird spot. Like we've had the AI agent didn't get traction. The previous versions of Unruggable were a bit, you know, good enough to get to an MVP, but not good enough to win a hackathon or get users. So I was like, right, how do we do this? And we were down in London with Adam at Build Station, and I put together our first MVP. And this was inspired by Ore, right? So Ore, if you ever use it, they've got this really nice website and web app. You go in and mine, and it's all written in Rust, right? And I saw this and I was like, right, this might do the trick for us. This might give us the, you know, the Rust and Solana we need with the UI UX that I've been missing. Again, my PhD was in explosions and I was using supercomputers in the UK. I'd never done UI UX, right? Even with the Matabi website, we had a really good website designer and an artist that worked together and made it look the way it did. That wasn't me. So I was like learning while I was doing it. We found Ore, I put it together. And I remember we were 3 days before the hackathon deadline for, you know, Coliseum, this version. And I got the plug and play to work, which was you take out your Unruggable device, which I've got one here. So this is a Super Team one. And all you do is you plug in the USB-C cable and you plug into the computer and the app will just light up and recognize it and say to you, connect to your hardware wallet. That's when I went, right, this will work. Like this UI UX is good enough. So, you know, again, hats off to the team, Adam and Apes, our artist and marketing. They did an amazing job with the slides. The slides were way more advanced than what the product was. We had a nice demo video. You know, I shot it here. We did a metal prototype that we used and I showed the manufacturing. And we submitted that to Coliseum. And at this point, we'd got it to the point where it was a business, right? We could show that this is how we manufacture them. This is what we make them for. This is what we want to sell them for. And this is how the app works and how it flows. So what we've ended up in Unruggable is basically two parts, right? You've got your physical device, that's your hardware storage. And then you've got your companion app. So you know how you've got Ledger and Ledger Live? It's the exact same with us. You've got your Unruggable device and the Unruggable app. The only big difference, right, is Ledger Live does all the change and bombards you with the UI and you don't know what's going on. We just do Solana. So you open up the app, it's the exact same layout as Phantom, Solflare, and Backpack. I want people, like my whole thing here is your user is more secure when they're familiar with what they're using and they know what they're doing, right? If I'm throwing you into a brand new UI, UX that I think is better, but you've never touched before, you're going to use it for 5 seconds and go, I can't get this, I'm done. And that's what happened with Ledger. You'd go from Phantom and things to now Ledger Live and you'd be like, right, I need to figure this out. This is completely different. So marketing and, you know, the design went to me, Bill, just do what Phantom and Solflare do. Just put the cold wallet in the hot wallet. And that's how we ended up with hot wallet UX, cold wallet security. Then, you know, we submit that to Coliseum, we do the demo, and all we had working then was just a simple transaction. That was it. You'd plug it in, click the button to, you know, I've got a little white button there, just so it pops. And it do the transaction. So just like Ledger, you know, connect, click the button's done. And, you know, with the narrative and being able to show the progress along with the traction we got, because again, you see a lot of these Coliseum projects and it's relevant because I think deadline's in a week for this current Coliseum. You launch a project and you have zero social following, you have zero engagement. That's a big red flag, right? We were launching and we'd be getting 100 likes or more on this brand new Coliseum hackathon project, along with having something to show now. So yeah, that was stressful, worked out well. Got onto the interview with the Coliseum team. They gave me, it was a proper like half an hour grilling, like, you know, hard questions. Got through that. You know, I left that and I said to Adam, I went, oh bro, I don't know. It might be our thing, but I think it might be an honourable mention again. Like, here's what is. And no, Adam was like, no, it went really well, Bill. It'll be fine. And we got a place and that's all I wanted. And since that, like that opened up so many doors for us. Like that Colosseum win was the, you know, in like League of Legends, how they say snowball, that was kind of the one thing that helped snowball us afterwards. So that opened up the validator stuff for us, because now you've got this stamp from Colosseum in the ecosystem that these guys, what they've got is something promising. Opened up the validator for us. It opened up partnerships, moving off that Colosseum and using that network to kind of accelerate. And yeah, that's what we've ended up on now. So I'm happy with Unruggable. We show it to people. People get it immediately. It feels like a hot wallet. You're pressing one button. We've added in ledger support as well. That was a really big one that I'm really excited about. So even if you have a ledger and you're not happy with the ledger live on Solana stuff, you know, you can now use Jupiter Lend directly from a ledger on your desktop. You can use DeFi Carrot. You can use squads with one tap. You can use Bonk Rewards. I put that in this week. So just putting these integrations to give people something to do. And the best part is we keep them inside the app, so you can't rug yourself by clicking the wrong link, because that's where the danger part is those first 3 to 4 days, right? You onboard someone and you have this little bit of stress and you going, are they going to ring me and go, you know, where's the money gone? I click this link or I click this NFT and it's gone, and you can't fix that because it's crypto. So that's what I want to protect against, and that's what Unruggable is. Nice, easy, simple to use to avoid, you know, your greed getting you locked up in custodial things or centralized exchange. Just make it nice and simple.
Exactly. Love that, man. That's quite a journey you've been on there so far. So obviously to clarify, you've obviously got like pretty much a finished product now. When will people be able to order one?
So fingers crossed, I hope sometime in the middle of November, in the next couple of weeks. So
oh wow, that's soon.
Yeah, the app got out into closed alpha last month. So if, like I said, going back to the OR example, or target the web, and that's about it with the Rust app. Our approach is the complete opposite. So we do everything but the web, right? So I don't want to be another extension wallet. The competition there is too much. You know, Phantom's so far ahead doing the cross-chain stuff. You've got Backpack. You know, Backpack's got the exchange, but the wallet has been upgraded in the last couple of months. Solflare keep doing what they do. They've done the seed vote stuff, and they've done an amazing job on it. Jupiter released a wallet, right? So like, it's another extension wallet. I don't want to go and compete with these guys, right? My whole thing is going after a different type of user who wants either a bit of yield farming or safe and secure custody. So we release for Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, and iPhone. So we catch all the platforms except the browser. So we got through that. Again, we're using Dioxa. So the first alpha test was simply just, when you download this, will it run on your computer? Will it look the way it should? And do you get any scary warnings about things? And we seem to have got through that fine. So everyone's come back and gone, yep, it's running. So now I'm on a sprint until the end of the month to just get this UI UX looking as good as possible, because we have to be competitive, right? You can't have mismatched buttons from me in a dev sprint. So our offices work. Yeah, man. First impressions are everything, innit? It's got to look good and work good. If it looks good, then you can start using it. And if it works good, that's what makes you, you know, a user of it. We've got really nice features in as well. We've got, like, if you know, first thing you do, and I'm sure everyone in crypto does it, you wake up in the morning, you flick that phone open and you start looking at prices. What's it done overnight while I'm asleep? So
every day.
Yeah. We show you the price right on the front screen, so you don't have to start searching. You just tap in, you get a candle graph straight away. And that's something a lot of people have seemed to enjoy. Then you've got the DeFi stuff, like staking and everything. But yeah, finish the app end of this month. In November, we've got some marketing stuff ramped up. We've redesigned the devices. So these ones I have here are dev units, so they're not fully finished. Same thing with the metal one. We've got proper injection molded ones that are, you know, they feel like an Apple product. That's what I'm aiming for.
Hell yeah.
We're working on a full metal device as well. That's going to be machined out of aluminum. So, you know, aerospace grade parts. And yeah, fingers crossed in November if everything works out, you know, and I want to start shipping them before breakpoint. And, you know, if anyone wants one hand delivered at breakpoint, I'm hoping we'll be able to do some activations there. So
you're coming to breakpoint?
Yeah, definitely. I haven't missed a break point since they started, for better or worse.
See you there, bro.
Yes, yes.
It's gonna be a banger.
It always is. Ellie and the guys at Solana, they do such a good job with the breakpoint stuff, and
Absolutely.
I like how they pick the different locations to push you out your comfort zone. Because we could have just had the same conference at Lisbon every year, but instead we've had Amsterdam, Singapore. Now it's the Middle East, so I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they do one here in South Africa at some point in the next few years.
Add another continent to the list for me to visit. I still haven't been to the US. That's what I want. One in New York. That's my next one. Maybe next year's Accelerate.
Yeah, I think the US would be cool, but I feel like because they're doing Accelerate there, it's less likely that they'll do a Breakpoint. I don't know. I could be wrong. I would love to see another one in Asia. It would be really cool to have a Breakpoint, like maybe in Bali. Or Bali would be cool because Bali is quite affordable. So, the tickets are relatively expensive and getting there is expensive. In order to attend these conferences, like you need to put a lot of money in. But doing it in a location that's more affordable might actually attract more people. Like Bali, villas are cheap in Bali. Food is amazing and it's super cheap in Bali. The people are great. Like Bali is probably one of my transport's cheap. Like it's one of my favorite places in the whole wide world. So I think Bali would be a fantastic location. Again, that's kind of my only pushback about the locations they've had is like Abu Dhabi is hella expensive.
I haven't been.
Far, dude. It's so far.
Are we talking like London levels, like major capital city?
Okay. No, but probably like same as like Dubai. Because I mean they're all Dubai, Qatar, Abu Dhabi. They're all like in the same kind of region. So I mean, look, you can probably go and have like affordable meals at some places, but generally speaking, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Qatar is all quite expensive. Singapore is very expensive. A mate of mine was there, and I think he paid like $25 for a beer or something at the airport.
Oh wow!
I mean, that's like 500 rand. To give you an idea, this beer was probably about 30 rand, which is about like I don't know, $2.50 or $2 maybe. So yeah, I think maybe doing it somewhere where it's a little bit more cost effective would be quite cool.
In Singapore, funnily enough, I ended up booking my things late, and it was the F1 weekend as well. So my hotel ended up being 40 minutes on a bus from the city centre, which I had a great time. I loved it. So I was next to the university. I could get food for under £5, so under $7 to $8. I could get like a proper.
That's not bad.
Oh, it was great. It was no one spoke
English. That's great.
I stuck out like a sore thumb. I was the only white person in that whole area. But I had a great time, man. They let me smoke where you weren't allowed to smoke because I was paranoid about that. I was like, with the cigarettes, I was so scared. And the guy was like, see, outskirts, don't worry, just go do it there. It's fine. It's our shop. I really enjoyed it. Like, I want to go back. But I do think what you say with the cost is a thing. But, they've taken the days down. Again, Breakpoint is a big one. It is the flagship conference. I would love to see one in Greece for me personally. Athens, nice and cheap, accessible.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, I like that. I think Athens would be great. I definitely think Europe in general, like there's a few spots in Europe that would be really cool for a Breakpoint.
Barcelona, I think, would be a good one. I know we had a Hacker Houses a couple of years ago in Barcelona, and that was my first time going. I loved it. I've been back a couple of times since then. But for me, it's the airport links. As long as you can fly in easily, because usually, where you've got lots of airports, you've got cheap accommodation as well, because there's such a big demand for it. Could be that, but yeah, I'm excited for it.
For sure, man. Well, looking forward to meeting you there.
I hope I'll be able to hand deliver some devices to people out there. That's our plan, at least for Breakpoint. Because with shipping, it's like the Seeker, if you've seen, we can't ship everywhere in the world, sadly. So if someone's in one of those locations, but they're visiting Breakpoint, I want to try and hand deliver them. And who knows, fingers crossed, we can do like a little workshop and have people on board and try them out.
Yeah. That'll be sick,
Stressing.
man. So are you doing like any activations? Are you gonna have like a stand or anything at Breakpoint? Or are you just gonna kind of like connect with people one-on-one type thing?
We haven't looked at the stand. Like we're at this point where we're trying to get everything finished, and it should be ready for Breakpoint, but it's not the priority at the moment. I'll definitely be there. If we can get a stand, I would love to be able to do like a hands-on onboarding thing. Otherwise, it
For
might just
sure.
be in the dev area, just giving out like a little talk or something. I'll see. I'm going to put in an application for a speaker spot at Breakpoint. My only
That
problem
would
is
be
I'm not
sick.
sure what to cover, right? And if you guys have any ideas, I'd love to hear them. So they've got revenue and one more thing, which we don't fit under. So we'd fit under revenue. And it's like, what's your non-controversial opinion? And it's 5 minutes long. So I'm not sure how to approach a Breakpoint talk. And again, we are pre-product. So I'm not sure, like, maybe it should be next year, maybe this year. I don't know.
Do they limit you on what you can talk about? Like do they
No, they
pigeonhole the
seem
topics or
they seem pretty happy to let you talk about whatever you want as long as you can fall under either like revenue or returns. Those are like the two big speaking topics they want to talk about this year from the application. So again, I don't know how it is for the like invite ones, but the public facing application form, you either pick the revenue stream or the return stream, and then you talk about something around that. And there are questions like, do you have a controversial opinion about the ecosystem? Which, I think I have a couple of them, which I don't know if we want to get into that.
I don't
But
mind. We don't mind a bit of controversy here on the show.
where do you start? I think, first of all, I think there's a lot of vaporware that runs around that, if you look at it deeply and technically wise, a lot of things don't make sense. I also think we have a oversaturated meme coin and launchpad space. There's not enough
Yeah.
demand, and it's turned into not even PvP. It's turned into people just getting preyed on by inside information and cabals. It's a very different point in time than we were. Like, remember Whiff back in the good old days when, there were runners every day and they were still brand new and they hadn't escaped into TikTok and it was still about like the branding and the memes. Now there is
The
no
art and the law. Yeah,
mimetic value at this point. That's my
no,
big
there's not.
controversial
No,
take.
not at all.
I definitely agree. It's actually an interesting topic. I definitely think what we've seen over the past like year and a half, maybe 2 years even, is the initial run on meme coins was um, basically every new launch just went absolutely ballistic and did really, really well. And then Pump Fun came along and they created this, way of everyone could make a meme coin. So literally all that happened is all of this liquidity that was kind of within the Solana ecosystem started getting dispersed into like millions of different tokens. Like, this one's got 100K market cap, this one's got a million, this one's got a 10 million, this one's got a 5 million. And you've got all of these tokens and they're all holding like a little bit of liquidity. So you've got this dispersion of all of the liquidity in the Solana ecosystem instead of having like 10, 20, 30 really good tokens type thing. And in addition to that, obviously, like, if you look at the Solana chart and you overlay when Pump Fund launched, literally the Solana chart goes up. As soon as Pump Fund launched, the chart just went sideways because they were literally pulling out hundreds of thousands of Solana and selling it on Kraken. So I would argue Sol would probably be at like, but this is where it gets interesting because people flocked to Solana because of Pump Fund.
There's also a mass onboarding point as well, right? So
absolutely,
chicken and egg. Chicken and
exactly.
egg.
It is really chicken and egg. And it's a really, really interesting topic. And like, I want to say, a lot of the time I'm very on the one side where I'm like, I think Pump Fund in general was a net negative. But if it wasn't for Pump Fund, like we wouldn't have had hundreds of thousands of people, trading meme coins and launching their own tokens and whatever. Benjamin Cowan, I don't know. Do you guys know Into the Cryptoverse? Benjamin Cowan?
No.
You must go check him out. He's a really good YouTuber and he talks a lot about like Bitcoin dominance. In fact, like that's like his main topic is he talks a lot about Bitcoin dominance and stuff. But He was actually talking about how, yes, you've got all of these new people. They're seeing these crazy P&Ls, people doing 1,000x in a day. So they are attracted to the space and effectively onboarded. But then they buy a token and it literally immediately rugs and dumps to zero, or they buy into a honeypot or whatever. So you had this situation where you've got new people coming to the space, like hundreds of thousands of new people coming to the space. They're getting into meme coins. They're losing thousands of dollars. And then they're like, fuck this, I'm out. I'm not interested in this crypto shit. And it puts them off from the space, which is not what you want at the end of the day. During the ICO sort of phase back in 2016, 2017, whenever it was, yes, there was similar kind of situations, but there was a lot more behind products. And like, there was a lot more marketing behind it. Everything was more, maybe not, but
it seemed
was more
that there was more. Yeah, exactly. I think it was the illusion of there being more behind it in the ICO wave, where with meme coin, it's very much, it's a Twitter page, it's a website, that's it, done. And we're going on the previous narrative.
Exactly.
It's a hard topic, like, especially with the onboarding and things. My whole thing is, I think society in a whole, we're moving towards, have you heard the GCR's nihilism thesis?
No.
So GCR, I'm sure you guys know GCR. You've heard of
them. Oh,
them.
yes, GCR. Yeah.
Gigantic rebirth, whatever it is, like the Twitter trader, right?
The bird.
Yeah. So he's basically said that if you look at it, crypto is accelerating towards, just in general, the gambling, the OnlyFans, and just people kind of losing hope and having the only thing to do is like try and make it through trading with leverage and things. And I think we saw that with Pum.Fun, what you guys said, with people seeing these 1,000x's are, if you parody it, it's the crypto version of someone putting Rolexes and Lamborghinis on Instagram, right? In crypto, you put in your 1,000x trade. And then that brings in a horde of people that, just like on the Instagram things, they sell you a course here, they're selling you a meme coin. And they go in and maybe there's 1 in 100 that makes a profit, and that just keeps on being regurgitated. But it's like NFTs, same thing with the meme coins. We're going to end up with this narrative playing out or being oversaturated. The question now then becomes, what's going to be the next thing? And I think that's a really interesting topic. In my opinion, I think with the meme coins, we had the wealth effect. So back in like the NFT days, you had this wealth effect coming from the NFTs would go up, people would sell 1 or 2, and then those profits or that gain would get redistributed back into other protocols or yield farming. With the meme coins, I'm not sure where the next flow of liquidity is going to be, whether it's going to be MetaDAO with their like ownership coins and like the Unruggable ICOs, which again, I think there's a great cross correlation there with Unruggable and Unruggable ICOs, right? Then you've got kind of some of these games that are coming out that we saw Addicted. Previously we had Heist, if you remember, in the bear.
Heist was great, but Addicted, that was like, oh man, don't even get me started on that. Like,
I was just supposed to be making Twitter.
Like, I put in like $100 or something. I bought the one plant, and literally you were supposed to make, I think I was supposed to make like 90 tokens a day or something like that. I went and checked the next day, I had like 24. I was like, I understand that obviously, the more people join, the less you earn. But a lot of people were talking about it in X. It was, really poorly executed. And the fact that Solana promoted that, I was like, what the fuck, guys? Come on, man.
I've got no comment on that one. Well, some of the retweets have been questionable. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
But look, at least like you have a couple of these things for this capital to flow into, and I'm hoping like my whole approach with Unruggable here is that I know that there are a lot of people like myself, like you guys, that we understand what crypto is. We're not at the far end of the degening thing where you're chasing meme coins, you're on Pump.Fun, and you're again, I hate the word, but you're a trencher, right? And I have seen some success stories from trenchers. Like we had one holder in, he bought WIF for $100, like 5 million WIF for 1 sol. He sold it 2 days later for a 0.2 sol profit. it took him 3 or 4 months to get over that PTSD of if I hadn't sold it, it would have been worth millions. But, you know, he kept on trenching and he hit his lick on useless and it worked out well for him. But that's not us, right? We don't do that. We're also not on the TradFi side where, you know, all I do is buy Bitcoin and that's it. We're kind of in the middle where, you know, you've been burnt a couple of times. You know what might be good. You know what you want to take a little bit of risk on, but you're mostly focused on Solana, Jupiter, maybe JLP, some Jito, like these well-established protocols like Camino or Drift that you can try out, and you kind of look and see what's the next thing that looks good. And, you know, that might be ore in this case, right? Where they've changed the tokenomics. They seem to be getting traction. And you're looking at where do I go? And that's my view with Unruggable. I'm trying to attract people like that where you know what you want out of crypto. You know, we're going to market with a $42 retail price, right, for the plastic ones, which, you know, if you've got above 2 Sol, spending 0.2 Sol to secure your asset starts becoming very worthwhile. And if you've got anything above that, it starts becoming kind of like a no-brainer decision to at least try it out and see what you do. And with the integrations in, you know, you never know what you might get by using the app, right? From partners that, you know, Jupiter did the airdrop. I was trading Jupiter. I was using Jupiter through Phantom. We've got Titan in. We've also got Jupiter in. I don't know if we have another wave of ASR, but Bonk Reward. So the integrations I've tried to put in, I've tried to be mutually beneficial for both us as a provider, the people we're putting in, but also for the user to be able to get something out. So that's our philosophy, and that's what I'm trying to find as well. And it's what you said with the meme coins. You know, back in the Solid days, you had the ICOs on Solana, and all you had to do was find the right thing, right? You could put your money in, get the token, and then you'd sell it. Now, everything seems to have gone behind closed doors. So any high quality thing is going through VCs, and as an individual person, you don't really have access anymore. And that's where we saw Echo, MetaDAO's got the hype from that because they're getting VC level companies to come and launch and give you exposure personally. So that's kind of where I am. And I think that's what I'm looking for, these next protocols I can get exposure to, and I like what they're doing. Sometimes they might work, sometimes they might not, like Addicted, like you said, they might get together like all. So I'd love to hear, like, if you guys have seen anything, because like I said, I saw Addicted on the timeline. I don't really know that much about it. Like, have you guys seen anything new that you're trying out? Anything interesting?
Got it?
Not really, other than like just using prediction markets and stuff. I haven't really been doing it much on chain, to be honest.
Yeah,
interesting.
I think from what I'm seeing, I feel like the KOLs, as we call them, are all trying to push the prediction markets narrative at the moment very hard. And I'll be honest, like, I've been in the space for long enough to know when something is organically popping off and when something is just, it feels like it's being shoved down your throat and like people are not really that interested. So like when SPL 404s came out, remember where you could trade your NFTs for a token?
Yep.
When that happened, that was another narrative that I just felt like this is what the KOLs are trying to tell us we should be doing, but people were not buying it. People were not interested. And I think that's, in my opinion, at least, that's very much the same with prediction markets. Like, I'm not really that interested. I can go and do, like, that's like a Web 2 thing. It doesn't feel like a crypto thing to me. There's nothing special about it.
I don't get the prediction. Like, look, I think they have a niche spot when it comes to like politics or also more niche events, right? But peer-to-peer betting has never worked, right? Betfair Exchange, like I did this for a living for 3 to 4 years. Betfair Exchange did peer-to-peer betting and they got eaten alive by sharps, like people who did it for a living, like myself, who would prey on your retail bettors, right? Now we've got this narrative of like, oh, everything's going in a prediction market. But guys, when's the last time you wanted to place a bet and you couldn't place a bet easily? Like with Bet365, I can put a bet on in under 10 seconds on anything I want, on any sport I want, and know that I'm going to get paid out in fiat and it's going to be tax-free and I've got no hassles. So why would I move to using a prediction market unless I'm doing geopolitical things like when missiles are going to be launched or if there's going to be a war, or if I'm doing like niche political bets that only other people on prediction markets will offer me. But my counterpoint here is who are you betting against on these things, right? When I bet like football and sports, I'm betting against the house, and I know I'm having a bit of fun and I'm taking a chance on my luck. When I'm betting on these things, I'm probably betting against someone that does it for a living and they're sharp and they know what they're doing, and I'm probably going to lose money over the long term. I personally don't see it. I think like it'll be a one winner takes all, like what we have in the gambling industry, where you have, you know, in this case, it'll be Polymarket, right? Polymarket will dominate 90% of the market and everyone else will be fighting over the scraps left at the bottom.
100%. 100%. I definitely agree on that. I think personally, like, I feel like the whole meme coin narrative as a whole, like as a collective, has kind of died now. But I feel like I feel like the next thing that'll probably happen is we're going to see a run on meme coins and NFTs, but like blue chips. So like blue chip projects. So like Pengu, Pudgy Penguins. I think Pudgy Penguins has already gone on a fucking tear. Obviously, it's pulled back, but I think Pudgy Penguins will rip again. I think there's a lot of other undervalued meme coins, like OG ones, that I think will rip. Like I think Bonk will do well, obviously.
Yeah.
This is obviously not financial advice.
Funnily enough, well, I will say that again, not financial advice. I was integrating the rewards smart contract
NFA.
Yesterday, NFA, but the Bonk smart contract has one of the highest usage numbers I've ever seen for a smart contract on Solana. Like aside from your classic swap things, for something like that, to see that level of usage and calls on chain, which you can't fake because you are, you know, they've got a time lock. I do genuinely believe Bonk has the usage numbers they say they do. Like the on-chain data reflects it. And for me to say that, that's super rare. Like my most controversial opinion is any user numbers you see, divide them by 5 to get the real number, if not by 10.
For sure.
So sure. Just on Bonk, like Bonk's been good to me. I'm a big fan of Bonk.
Me too. Yeah, I think point being, I think you've got a couple of meme coins that I think will do well. If we see like an alt season or like the entire kind of alt market, if we see that move in the next month or two, I think that the blue chip memes will move with that. And I think as we head into like closer into like the next kind of bear market territory, I think NFTs will pop off again. I think it will be blue chips. You know, I think Pudgy Penguins, Azuki, Doodles, on Solana, Claynosaurs, D-Gods, Mad Lads, OK Bears. I think those collections that are still doing stuff and are still around and that have that like history, I think those will probably do well. But anyway, unfortunately, we've got to wrap it now. It's been absolutely amazing having you on, Bill. Really, really cool to finally meet you and to chat. And yeah, excited to meeting you in person at Breakpoint.
Me too. Thank you for having me on again. Thank you for letting me ramble about Unruggable. For anyone watching and you guys, if there are any integrations of DeFi things you'd like to have within a wallet with 2 taps, just at me on Twitter. My standard is usually I try and turn an integration around in one day, and we are trying to go customer-based development. So once we hit it, we want our users to define what we do in the future and what we offer in the wallet in the future, because ultimately that's the most important thing. Give us a follow on Twitter, and hopefully in November we'll be able to be, you know, get that page open and get some orders in, and I'll be able to ship you out an Unruggable device. Alpha will be going live start of November, so we'll get that sent out. We've got a really nice activation themed around that, and we've got content coming out. So yeah, thank you for the hour on. Really enjoyable. I learned something new today, which is quite rare. I enjoyed hearing the different thoughts and, you know, going out from a bubble. A pleasure. And hopefully I look forward to another one after Breakpoint.
Absolutely, man. We'll definitely
I can't wait to get my hands on one.
We'll bring Bill on for a Pokemon stream. Hey, Godo.
I appreciate it, guys.
Let's do it.
Awesome, Bill. Yeah. Thanks to everyone who tuned in today. Be sure to give Bill a follow and give Unruggable a follow, as well as Matame. Now I don't know how to pronounce it.
Don't worry about it. Matame, Unruggable's the big one, guys. All I want is just if I can build something that people enjoy using with Unruggable. Ultimately, that's why I left academia. I couldn't be doing research and have 5 people read it. I want something that people will enjoy using, and ultimately, tell me what you want to see in a wallet and we'll do our best.
Let's go. Thanks, Bill. And also be sure to give Gotto a follow. Make sure you're following the Phase Labs account. And you can follow me too if you're feeling generous. Awesome, guys. Take care and we'll see you again soon.
See you guys. Stay safe. Adios.
You too, man.